Okay, this is my video about why I hate Intel. I tried to do a version earlier, but it came out too long, so we're going to try and break it down a little bit. I do hate Intel with a passion. Like, seriously, with a passion. I hate and have hated Intel for a long time. And I'll give you an example why. It probably won't be why. My reasons for hating them probably won't be what you're thinking. Okay. For starters, I'll start off saying that I cannot bash their CPUs, chipsets, stuff like that, because the actual processor that they make is actually decent. Like, they do actually make good processors. I can't bitch at them for that. And the same with the chipsets. Like, the actual chipset chip itself is actually a good, stable chip. And as far as from what I've heard, they're fairly fast as well. The like the i95 chipsets, the 900s and everything, and the newer ones. But other than that, like I said, they do have good chipsets and good CPUs. As far as I know, they're actually dominating the market right now for overall speed. So I can't bash them that way, I'll be honest, and say, yeah, they've got the better CPUs. But what they don't have is a good heatsink designer. As many of you know, that is a 775 heatsink. As far as I'm concerned, these are junk. Same as the 478 heatsinks, which were also garbage. I don't know why Intel hasn't fixed this yet, and it's really starting to bug me to the point where I'm never going to buy Intel again, just because their designs are literally retarded. I mean, Buddy must have been smoking a big bag of crack while he was designing this CPU heatsink. So as you know, a standard 775 heatsink will have 4 large clips that stick out past the base, like so, on an X pattern. I cut them off because, like I said, these heatsinks are junk, so I cut the clips off so I can actually use them on something that can use it properly without bending the board all to shit. And it's been like that way for a good 6 to 8 years now. Since Pentium 4 first came out, they've been bending motherboards to the point of actually wrecking the socket because there's so much bend on the back of the CPU socket that it pulls the connections off the socket itself. Now, I mean, when you have a stock heatsink that tight, I mean, I so wish I could take one of those boards with the heatsink on it and smash the guy over the head with it. Like, seriously. It's that bad. And the same with the 775s. I don't know if any of you guys have ever built a brand new 775 system, but I have built many, many 775 and 478 systems brand new, like CPU out of the box. You pop it in, and you clamp it down, and you look at the board, and it's like, oh my god! You know, you clamp her down, and you see a big friggin' bow underneath your CPU, because it's clamping down so friggin' tight with no pressure back plates or anything. So that's one of my really big beefs with Intel, is their heatsink designs are junk, and have been since the very first Pentium 4s came out. So I'm really hoping they redesign the heatsink clips, because yeah, it's just crap. And I would imagine that the Core i5s and i7s are very close to a 775 heatsink, which means it's junk. So I don't know what they're going to do about that. Also, the CPU socket design I do not like, because you can't do anything with it as far as cutting the cap off the CPU, because here, give me a second, I need to find a spot. We'll just throw it on top of this motherboard right here, fuck it. Alright, so we have an open 775, and if any of you have built 775s, you know that the cap of the CPU is actually what holds it in the socket. So thanks to Intel, again, for being bastards and building a socket that you cannot cut the cap off of without having some serious issues in trying to hold the CPU in the socket. So I haven't even tried to conquer that yet. I'm not even going to bother because I don't like Intel. So, but this CPU actually here, I did cut the cap off of it and scraped off their junk heat paste and sanded the paint off the bottom of the cap because, of course, them being retards, they paint the bottom and top of the caps with some kind of shit paint crap. So anyway, I sanded off the inside of the cap and the top of the cap, put the cap back on with some Arctic Silver 5, dropping the temperature roughly about 10 degrees. And of course it still sits properly because the cap's still on it to lock it in the stupid clamp they got there. So that's the main few things, and the last thing for hating Intel is they squeak. I've had 3 to 4 Intel systems now that squeak. It's not the power supplies because I've changed 3 or 4 power supplies and it does the same thing on every power supply. I've tried changing video cards, same thing. Even if you use a video card that doesn't need power, like this little 7300, it still squeaks like a bastard. I also tried underclocking it because I have it overclocked a lot, from 1.8 to 3.2, and even at stock it squeaks. That's why right now it's not running, because I can't stand the sound of this stupid system. And I also have a few socket 778, or sorry, socket 478 boards that also do the same thing. They run fine, but they squeak. And they squeal very loudly, and it actually gives me headaches. So that's why I hate Intel. So hopefully you guys aren't too pissed off at me, because I'm not actually bashing like Intel. I'm not saying they make shit CPUs and that they're slow and all this, you know, other crap that everybody else says. Like I said, they do make good CPUs. They are fast. They make good chipsets. I have tons and tons of LAN cards made by Intel because they're awesome. They never dry, or they never die. Windows actually installs them on its own, except for Vista, because Vista sucks. So I mean, I can't bash Intel for their chips. They make awesome chips. Like I said, the physical chip itself, they do actually make a very good quality chip. But then once it comes to the cooling, as you can see, there's copper at the edges. They use a copper CPU block, which is good, but then they do some retarded painting on it for some reason, just to slow down the heat transfer. Like, I'd almost swear they did that on purpose, just to slow down the transfer. Actually, AMD does that too, though. They paint their caps on the inside and out for some stupid reason. I really don't know why. But I mean, AMD actually does make a good CPU clamp, so I can't bitch at them. Because they use the AM2/AM3 socket, which has a very large plastic bracket on top and underneath. And I've clamped a few of those down, and it does bend the board, but not very much. Like, nowhere near what these stupid guys at Intel are doing. Like, shit, yeah, you clamp down a stock heatsink on these things, and it's just, I mean, it scares me, because I've seen boards so bent that you don't even think they're going to start, because it'll rip I actually have seen this happen. After a couple years, it'll actually rip the connections off the bottom of the CPU socket, because the board's so bent. So anyway, that's why I don't buy Intel. Not because they're slow or anything, just because their heatsink designs are so bad that I know for a fact it will not run for a long time without some serious modifications to stop it from bending the board so much. So if you do run Intel, keep an eye on that. If you can, get a back plate or something for it. Just that way your board will last longer. And if you have a board like this one, like a $250 board, you don't have to go bitching at Intel because they suck a lot of, you know, and ended up wrecking your board because of their stupid heatsink designs. So I hope that explains some of it to you. Like I said, I'm not really bashing their CPUs. It's just the design of their heatsinks and cooling that I really, really don't like. And the squeaking motherboards is really annoying as well. But other than that, I can't say I don't like them. Like I said, I've had a few systems. They run awesome, other than the squeaking and the shitty heatsink designs. So, that's it for that. Just wanted to get that out there. hope you enjoyed the video, and hope I didn't piss you off too much by bashing them a little bit.